My notes are all over the place. Welcome to the Lakeshow podcast.
Everyone wants to rage is basically what I've heard in my ear and from Brez and from you. Everyone's ready to rage.
Yeah,
Lakers win one game and we're ready to rage.
We're ready to rage.
Yeah.
This podcast, Lakeshow podcast, is presented by Jack in the Box. We're going to talk about the Lakers, the biggest stories and topics surrounding.
I apologize for being late. It's 3 minutes late today.
You weren't late.
I was
though.
35 seconds late today.
I'm Allie. He's Chris McGee.
I don't like
that.
That's
He's
not
Mike
late.
Bresnahan.
It's late for me.
What did you guys have for lunch today?
Yeah, I came in.
Just
She was asking all the members from the crew what they ate for lunch today.
Wow.
And about 95% of them had Jack in the Box.
Are you taking
Nice.
a poll, Allie?
Yeah.
You have a side gig?
I'm taking a poll, and I also told our director not to do any stills on me or single shots, and I just saw my first single shot.
Because you're
There's
not
another
doing
one.
the show later, so you just, this is the,
No, just chill.
this lounging alley.
This is Lounging Alley. Yep.
How was post-game show last night?
Oh, I just realized I left you on red.
Yeah, I texted, just said, I was a post-game show, and I got nothing, Brez.
What happened?
Well, she texted me about a workout class, and then I
Okay.
said, hey, I was a post-game show, and nothing happened, Brez.
Crickets.
You would think it was a bad postgame show if you didn't hear back.
How was it for you?
But it was great. In fact, I told Allie today, I said that was a fun pre and post.
B. Scott?
B. Scott.
James
delight
made
to
it
work with
back?
him. Yeah.
James made it back?
The purple suit that B. Scott was wearing yesterday.
Oh, my gosh.
Spectacular.
Fresh.
Just outdressed everyone in SoCal yesterday. Amazing.
How was raging?
It was absolutely raging downtown LA yesterday.
How
I
many
have to
pieces
tell you.
of sushi did you eat?
It's a good question. I didn't eat a lot last night. I felt like I got a little, I wanted to go back. Okay, listen, we're not at crypto.com arena a lot. So when we are, I really want to take advantage. And I
Yeah.
really look forward to
Embrace
that
it.
meal.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting for me. And I got in there and I don't know, the sushi, there wasn't a lot left. They bring out a whole new one in the halftime, you know? So I had a little and I had some little other things and I was just talking and then go out and watch the game, go back halftime, had one more plate, but I just felt like I didn't do my usual punish myself and eat a lot of food.
Wait a second. You go back in
At
that
halftime?
room?
I was hungry.
Do you
And Big Game likes to go in halftime before he leaves, so I gotta go.
Well, yeah.
Gotta,
And you
I
guys
just
get-
follow James around. It's
Yeah,
very
I mean, it's a brilliant strategy.
simple strategy.
Do you go to the media room ever, or you go right to
Always
the
start
chairman's?
off in the media room to start the day off.
Okay.
I'm always there a couple hours before James. So I like to chill in the media room, watch football with everybody, Billy
Right,
Mack,
right.
Mike Trudell.
Talk to the beat writers.
Yeah, Dubber and Shaw. It was fun. I'm always hanging out in there. So I like to be there early and just kind of chill.
If you're ever in a jam,
Nate the Great came. Nate Edelman. Not Julian's son, but Nate, who works with us. It was his first time out there.
Nate. Oh, nice.
He had his name on the chair.
Fun.
Your chair had his name on it.
Wow.
I said, take a picture and send that to everybody.
It's a big
Yeah.
deal.
Kevin, Ben, like everybody that's ever been.
Yeah.
Was your name on there?
You know who you're talking to? Of course my name was on there.
It's inscribed.
Oh, I
mean-
figured you didn't need your name on there. You just got a
I need
seat.
no, I'm not that guy.
That's where I thought we were going.
Do you sit by
I tried to
Michael?
league it and you just turned it back.
Do you sit by Michael Koger at the games? You do,
Koger
right?
was not there yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Koger was not there yesterday.
Slacking.
But I will say this. The atmosphere downtown Los Angeles yesterday was at a level that I just haven't seen it in a long time because the Emmys were going on. So many famous people were around in the streets. And then there was a big boys volleyball tournament at the convention center. Tons of like people I knew from that were coming into the game.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And then the Laker game just had this from the get-go. It was a great game. Like this level of energy from both teams was spectacular.
What time did you get home? Like 3 a.m., 4 a.m.? Sleep on the sofa?
No, I did.
Hit some post-Emmy ragers?
There was a.
Okay.
Wait a second. You went out after. That's why you didn't call me on your way home. Okay.
I went just for one over at the JW Marriott because things
call.
were hopping, and I had to park far away, and I had to walk through the JW Marriott to get to my car, and I wanted things to settle down. There's a lot going on out there. A lot of
going on.
cars, a lot of
traffic.
limos. So I hung out and had a drink. Tons of people were around and just chatted, and then I got home at midnight.
That's not bad.
Oh, look at you.
I was in the locker room till whatever.
Byron
11:45.
could not get over AD not being a Bears fan.
So
First time you
rates-
heard about it.
Can I
That-
just
that
tell
affected
stories
us.
from last night?
Please.
Yeah.
So I'm walking down I'm walking down the ramp at the tunnel, the players' tunnel, and Mike Trudell's talking to AD's dad. And I've met AD's dad before, and he's the nicest guy in the world, and he's so cool, and he sounds just like AD, but a smaller version. He's a smaller man than AD. He's a nice sized man, but AD is extra tall, as we all know. Sounds just like him. It's a trip. But we were all chatting, and we were pumping up AD as Defensive Player of the Year and all this stuff. And then somehow it got to him being a Bears fan, and a Packers fan, and it crushes his dad. His dad's like, feels like he's failed. He showing pictures of AD and AD's kid dressed in Packers gear from yesterday. Like, he's like, this is what I had to deal with. And I guess what it comes down to is he is good buddies with Randall Cobb from college. Randall Cobb played for the Packers. So that's a side of the story we had never heard. I thought he was like from birth.
AD's friends with Randall Cobb?
Yes.
Okay, why hasn't he told us that?
I don't know if I'm breaking news here, but AD's dad was like, I'm not a total failure like he was. Like, we watched Bears games his whole life.
Yeah, but
he became a Packers fan along,
In AD's defense, the Bears have been terrible for 40 years since they won the Super Bowl. I mean,
so that was a little bit of I thought that was an interesting.
Yeah.
I know, because he's never. And by the way, he's playing like we're in the locker room ready to talk to LeBron. And LeBron's talking, and AD's blaring like the Fly Eagles song, and then they all start heckling Eagle. It was McMenamin's all crushed. It was pretty funny. It was a lot of football chatter.
Too.
Yeah, going on. It wasn't their year. It was when they were 10-1. But if you watch football the last 6 weeks of the season, you know.
Shocking. What
I'm
happened.
sure trainers crushed.
Yeah.
I get it. It's a long season, but a lot of injuries, a lot of stuff.
How are you?
I'm okay.
When I tweeted something about your game on Sunday, you were not happy, and you came straight to my inbox.
I came straight to a text like,
yeah.
Well, listen, Sunday, it was a good day of football. I was off. I had some drinks.
Yeah, you were not happy about the Rams.
I stayed off of Twitter. I wasn't happy with some of the calls, some of the play calling, some of the mismanagement with timeouts, a couple of non-calls at the end. I thought they tried to kill Matt Stafford. But at the end of the day, I have to be real honest. There's a lot of Rams fans yesterday at that. Billy Mack, Dubber are huge Rams fans. I was saying to them, like, I wanted it to keep going because I really liked this team. They played I was a year that everyone thought they were like punting, and they won 10 games and were a point away from advancing in the playoffs. And they were a good team. And Stafford looked awesome. So I was bummed in that regard. But if you're going to lose, I mean, man, I don't know who said this. Maybe it was Bergen yesterday, our director. Like, Detroit catching a break is not a bad thing. Like, I was happy for Jared Goff. So if you're going to lose, I was okay.
Michigan catching a break in anything is just the worst thing that could ever happen.
Yeah, I know.
The Lions are so
but
pathetic.
like, it'd been 30 years. So, that was a tough one for sure. But there was a lot of football chatter. I took my first picture, like, hey, can we take a picture? I've never done that we're working. I don't do that with any.
Who did you do that to?
Here's why. You want to hear this story?
Yes. Wow.
Okay.
All the stories.
Okay. So James and I we're going to where we go to eat, the chairman's room.
Okay.
But
with the sushi.
Yeah. But we didn't have, he had wanted to go get a couple wristbands for people. So we go into this little side room, and in walks this actor. And I recognize him right away. And he and James were like, hey, I don't know if you guys watch Suits, but I just got done watching 9 seasons of Suits. And he played, Cahill was his name. He plays he plays the great, he can play a psycho. He can play like an evil guy. He can play a smart guy. He's an unbelievable actor. Last name's McDonough. First name
is he Bunny from The Wire?
Oh, I don't have my phone.
Oh,
was he in The Wire? Was it that actor?
Hold on.
I saw him on ESPN last
You
week.
know exactly. Yeah, but here's the funny part of the story. So I'm like, hey, and he like comes talking, and we start chatting. Neil McDonough, thank you. Great actor. And you guys will know him. He's got the crazy eyes, those light blue, like, you'll know him when you see him. He's in so many things. And his wife's really tall. So we're talking, he's got 5 kids. They're all there. And one of them's a senior, and James is talking about golf. He's a golfer at Oaks Christian. And the daughter's really tall. And they're like, oh, she plays volleyball. And I'm like, no way, you play volleyball where? She's like, Oaks Christian. I'm like, Julie Rubenstein. That's their coach. She goes, that's my coach. I go, I know, I coached her. And all of a sudden, they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah. And by the way, she won a national championship her senior year. And she was the player of the year in the nation. They were like, what? I'm like, yeah, she was a badass. And then she went to Pepperdine and became an All-American. They had no idea. I'm like, you guys didn't know this? She doesn't like talk about it? So they didn't know. So they were all excited. So they're like texting Julie. We're taking pictures. And I'm like, can I take a picture? So we took a picture with their family. I'm like, I looked at them. I'm like, I just got done with season 9. I was all in.
Let me guess.
Talking about Suits.
You're going to be on season 10 now.
So like, that was a great moment. And then I kept seeing them all over the arena. And, the wife's now calling me. She's like, Gator! She's like yelling at me. That was pretty funny. And because they were calling me Mr. McGee at first. I said, please don't do that. They were having the kids call me that. Well, don't want that. Gator. So we had a great time.
McGee.
And that was his first time back at a Laker game in 12 years.
Whoa.
Used to go all the time. He's like, is Tim Harris still around? I'm like, yes, he is. So it was a funny,
Wow, what a night.
What a night.
Did you ask if they're the ones that ate all the sushi? Were you like, guys?
No, Brez, because when I got in there, I know where to go.
Okay.
You go, there's like the buffet style things, but then you go to the left with the cheeses and the sushi. And I kind of knew when we were getting in there, things were clearing out.
Smart.
I saw that there wasn't an updated platter. So I knew I was getting scraps, wasn't stoked on it.
Yep.
Had a couple other things. Just didn't, I usually will eat other stuff, but I just didn't want to eat poorly. I'm trying to do some, Allie and I are working out a lot now.
Yeah, good for you guys.
We're watching what we eat. It was a fun game. That was my whole point of the story. Everyone was there, and it was electric.
Were they excited? Was everyone happy? Were the crowd? Was the crowd?
I could not. So you guys have heard me talk about Matt Unger before. Matty-O. He's
love Matty-O.
This guy. Okay, he had these most unbelievable floor seats right in front of where we sit with his son.
Oh, amazing.
And he and I were chatting we're like, this game is unbelievable. Like, it was just high energy, and when the Lakers play like this, and it just hasn't been very often, to be honest with you, you see what kind of team they can be. The balance was unbelievable. 6 guys in double figures. I like the minute distribution. I love the defense. Like, I feel like Vando's starting to play a little bit better. Rui's involved. LeBron had this 25-point whatever game, and it's funny. For the first couple quarters, you didn't really realize LeBron. He was just, everyone was involved. And then he picks his spots in the 3rd and 4th, and he ends up with 25. I like that style of game. Mm-hmm. I like that style of game. I thought the ball was moving. I don't know how many assists they had last night. I know it was
30.
30, right? Okay, so for me, I thought the ball was moving and popping. And
if I'm not mistaken, 4 straight games of 30 or more assists.
Yeah. OKC missed a lot of threes, which helped us.
They missed a lot, but they also made. I felt like at least every time they got second and third chance opportunities, it always resulted in
what the
three.
Lakers were doing was man-to-man on the misses.
Yeah.
And then you see after a make, everyone does this, so that means go to the zone, and they were playing zone on the makes.
Yeah.
And they kept them out of the paint, so they were mixing and mad, and they switched up their defense on every play.
Okay,
every play.
I'm confused. Do we know who this team is?
Absolutely not. They're 20 and 21. We know what they can be, but everyone in the NBA plays well at times. So are we that team that's just going to play well a handful of times and be 500 team? I don't know. I hope not.
Well, it's interesting the teams that they play well against.
100%. But listen, here's the energy last night on both sides of the floor from every guy was just elevated. Mm-hmm. And you go, oh, so when they come to play, okay, but that's part of being a good team. Like, you got to come to play. AD even mentioned it last night, Brez. Like,
I thought he was great talking.
He was
playing.
He was pretty honest too. Yeah. Like, we can't. He's like, well, someone asked him about rebounding, Brez. And he was like, well, I mean, that's effort.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Last night to me, last night to me was the type of game where the rest of the league has to take notice.
Yeah.
Because the Lakers defense, all right, they've won 2 games now against OKC, 2 against the Clippers. A little over a week earlier, they beat the Clippers, held them to 103. Last night, you hold OKC to 5. That's way below their average. So I feel like the Laker defense, when challenged, when motivated, maybe they can put out these games like they did, and absolutely. I mean, like I like when AD plays these guys who are also potential Defensive Player of the Year winners. Mm-hmm. He always crushes them. Whether it's Gobert or Jackson Jr. from Memphis.
Yeah.
Last night, Holmgren slipped ahead of him in the odds to win the DPOY. He had 9 points. I mean, he thoroughly.
And he's long, Brez, in person.
Oh yeah, James called him a number 2 pencil.
Chet.
That was amazing.
Chet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got some height.
He's gonna be good.
Yeah, put a little muscle maybe, but
feels like he's getting
held him to 9.
Like,
great defense all around. Really impressed.
Let's talk a little AD because, as we know, 6 Lakers in double figures, plus 20 in the paint, 64-44. AD with 27, 15, and 5. LeBron with 25, 7, and 6. They combined for 52.
How about AD's assists, Allie, right now?
Gets a half dozen every game almost.
People are doubling him hard.
Yeah.
They're doubling him. I mean, like, OKC.
Every game.
Hard.
Yeah.
But guys were moving.
Yeah. That's the part.
Yeah.
He took the blame after the loss to the Jazz on Saturday, even though he had that triple-double, the 11 assists, of course. But Darvin Ham praised him after the win last night. Take a listen.
Just his care factor is through the roof. AD cares about nothing except winning. He wants to win. His skill set is elite, and it generates a lot of numbers and a lot of different stat lines. But for the most part, the main thing that matters the most to him is the win and getting the win. And he's really hard on himself and beats himself up sometimes. But trying to get him to snap out of it a little bit. But he wants to be there for us in the most, competitive way and help just throw us on his back and carry us a lot. And when he's feeling like he's not doing that, he's really hard on himself. But that's why he is who he is, though. But ultimately, just him giving contributions night in and night out. If he continues to go at this rate, we'll be just fine. Both he and Brian have been great this season, just being available at the highest level.
What stood out most to you guys about Anthony Davis this season? Not just last night, but this season in general. He's he's played in all but 2 games?
2. I actually agree with Darvin. I don't think AD cares. I think winning is the ultimate thing for him. Every guy cares about numbers and production and all that stuff, but AD, winning games is what matters to guys on this team. I think AR for sure. Guys that don't really care too much about their own personal, as long as they're winning. Like, that's why AD's not always demanding the ball. He just wants to win games. I thought it was interesting that he took that loss so hard in Utah and blamed it on himself, but that's what leaders do, and I think that's what best players do, because at the end of the day, guys, he had a game, I said this on the pregame show yesterday, that only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has had in the Laker uniform, and it was a horrible game for him. He had 15, 15, 10 and 5, or whatever it was, 4.
15, 15, and 11 and
4. I think it was 4 blocks.
Bunch of turnovers, didn't shoot well.
10 assists, 4 blocks.
Yeah.
But he was 5 of 21.
Yeah.
And bottom line, if he has a better offensive game, which it's not going to happen every night. So he's been I think I've said it before, that's the biggest frustration for me. That's the biggest bummer, is that he has been that guy that we've always wanted him to be. And it's the same. It's not equating to wins like it did back in 2020 and 2021. It's just not. We're a game under 500 and halfway point. It's frustrating. It's just reality. It's facts. I'm not, sky's not falling. I'm not, giving up. But like, that is a huge bummer that he has not missed games and he's played at this level, Brez. But I'm actually like really impressed with how he handles himself. And
think about if the Lakers were 25 and 16, 5 more wins.
Yeah.
We'd be talking about him in the same breath as Embiid for MVP,
Yep.
Shea for MVP, throw in a couple others. Got to throw Jokic in there, obviously.
Totally.
I mean, it's amazing like what the Lakers record does to kind of tamp down the excitement about these guys winning awards. Geeter, on the pregame yesterday, we had the current odds for Defensive Player of the Year. Number 1 was Gobert. His team's in first in the West. Number 2 is Chet. His team was second in the West. AD was still 3, which is commendable because at the time, his team was 11th in the West.
And to have those guys ahead of Anthony Davis.
I know.
That award to me is, when you watch how they play defense. Chet, he blocks shots. He's good.
He's
but
good.
AD has to do so many things.
Right.
And he doesn't have he has Ant next to him. He has Karl Anthony Towns next to him. McDaniel. Mm-hmm. He blocks shots. Gobert's a great defender. I'm not saying he's not, but it just shocks me that AD doesn't get enough love on that.
I agree.
It freaks me out because he also scores 25 a game.
Especially when it comes to the MVP, they always factor in who's on the squad.
Yeah.
Like, he has help, or that year that LeBron was close to winning it before he got his ankle rolled up on.
Yeah.
And the Lakers were looking good. It's like, but he's got Anthony Davis next to him. So when it comes to that award, for an example, you're always going to factor in what the help looks like or what the supporting cast looks like. But when it comes to the Defensive Player of the Year, why isn't that necessarily to your point?
And what's funny, analytics is such a big part of everything. And you know how much Trudell and those guys are all into the huge analytics. He wins all analytical stuff. Mm-hmm. He wins. So that's if you want to go a really deep dive, he wins that too. But whether it's the Lakers, whether it's the narrative, whatever it is, I don't think he's getting enough credit for the season that he's having. But Brett hit on the head, man. When you're in 11th place, 10th place, like,
got to win games.
Should you qualify for awards? I mean, the only one really is Rookie of the Year. Like, no one really cares what your record is because usually you're on a crappy team. Chet is the outlier in that.
And Coach of the Year sometimes goes to a team that went from 14th to 6th.
For sure.
This year it's going to be one of the teams we talked about, probably Minnesota or OKC. But that's another award where you don't have to be a top 2 team for Coach of the Year, generally speaking.
You know what, Brez? This is why halfway awards are different, because we are at the halfway point. So much can happen.
There's
in the next 41 games. What if you have a completely different season? What if, God forbid, there's a crazy injury for one of those teams and they fall off? Mm-hmm. What if they hit a wall? What if they're not as good as we thought? What if the Lakers turn out? So much can change, but those narratives for these awards are built early.
It's
on.
hard to overcome.
Yeah, exactly.
AD's 9-1 to win Defensive Player of the Year, something crazy like that. 8-1, 9-1. I mean, those are actually pretty bad odds.
AD's not going to start this All-Star game, and he's having this kind of year.
Exactly.
Wild.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be LeBron,
Yeah.
Jokic, KD.
Yep. Because of votes. Well, that's half the
Or
vote.
does that- yeah,
There's still
it's different
25% media vote, 25% your peers, the other players. So maybe AD can pass. I guess KD would be the guy he would pass, but
You can't pass LeBron. You can't pass Jokic.
Yeah. You're not off to a good start if you're fourth
Yeah.
in the 50% portion, which is what the fan vote is.
Yeah. When it comes to the starting lineup, Darvin mentioning last night what we saw, which was D'Lo, Austin Reeves, Torian Prince, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. That will be the lineup for the foreseeable future from the jump. 4 of those 5 last night in double figures. Torian an off night, just 3 points. But nonetheless, could this be a lineup that could build enough chemistry, cohesion, impact that could propel the Lakers to the top 6?
Can I ask you guys a question? We thought Vando was going to start over Torian.
Oh my,
Yeah,
I cannot.
What was that all about? That was weird.
I cannot.
Oh,
I was like, what is flashing on that screen?
Oh my God.
screen?
Look at Robert Ory.
Your friend Robert Ory.
Okay, he misunderstood the question.
Is that what it was?
Is that what it was?
What?
We
yeah,
had it.
Yeah, he did. That's what I heard, yeah.
Because I got to be honest, there was some excitement
Yeah, exactly.
buzzing inside the media room that they were going to roll out the group that started last year.
And did great in the playoffs.
So
Till
if you're
Denver
asking me,
series.
can this group build momentum? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they can. I want to say this without. I like this player, so I don't want to. It's not going to come out right, but I'm just going to say it. Cam Reddish being out allowed more minutes for Vando and Rui. Those 2 guys need more minutes.
Mhm.
And there needs to be certain players that play with each other. And that allowed that to happen. And I think that's why you also saw success. It doesn't mean Cam is not a part of anything. I'm just saying, like, there are certain guys, like, I want to see Rui more minutes. I also want to see him alongside LeBron and AD. I do.
Yeah.
I do. I want to see Vando as a guy that's with those starting guys so he can, Darvin's big on point of attack, defending. There's your guy. Vando should be that guy then. So I hesitate, and it's not a knock on Torian Prince. He's shooting great, shooting great. He's playing a role, but Torian is a guy that I think he's a role player that he can play with any unit. But there's going to be times where you need Vando with that group, and I liked that he did that. So if you're going to start that group, fine, as long as you're seeing certain rotations and certain minutes for guys, and it's not easy for Darvin. Like, man, there's a lot of mouths to feed. There's a lot of injuries that have happened. So he's finally, I think now that you have this group, Darvin can start to put together some combinations that he wants and we want, and
I just looked up a quote that Austin had about Vanderbilt last night. And he said, and he scored 4 points, Vanderbilt, took 2 shots, made 2 shots, whatever it was. He had 3 steals, but this is the best quote. He said, Vando was amazing tonight. Only took 2 shots, but impacted the game way more than the stat sheet would show. And we say that all the time on the air, so it's kind of nice to hear a player kind of validate that in the first part. But if Vanderbilt can get some semblance of an offense going, if he can start hitting the corner threes, and he has more recently, then maybe he overtakes Torian.
Maybe get
starters.
an uptick.
Maybe.
Minutes, yeah.
But Torian's close to 40% from deep. I mean, the threat of a shot, even though, like you said, didn't have a lot of points last night, the threat of that shot, I think, keeps Vanderbilt on the bench. To start. To close, maybe you get the 5 from last year, Guy.
And here's what's interesting, Brez, about that. If you're going to go with more of an offensive punch, I think D'Lo and AR in the starting lineup, that's the offensive punch that you need.
True.
So where's your
shoot.
defender coming from in that group? Maybe that's where I think Vando can
like
slide
that.
in.
I like
But like you said, they like the way Torian spaces the floor. They like the way he fits. So I'm just playing Monday morning quarterback. I'm just saying there's, so I'm glad they're going with the starting lineup with AR and D'Lo. It's time to go back to it.
I was just going to say they combined for
D'Lo had a terrible December. He really did. With some exceptions. He was good in the play-in tournament semis and the finals too, I want to say. But that entire month, his shot was off. I mean, I understand Darvin sending him to the bench as a reserve for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He was a backup for exactly 3 weeks. And I also understand why Darvin brought him back. Because Allie, he shook off whatever was bothering him. He figured it out. And he's not going to get 39 every night.
Yeah.
But that game was a big eye-opener. Like, okay, things are clicking for him again. And I liked what he did last night. You know, the stats weren't amazing.
Yeah.
14 points, 7 assists. But he had the big steal at the very end. You know, stole it from Holmgren with under a minute left. And I liked D'Lo's presence last night.
I think there's just chemistry there, too. He and Austin combined for 29 points, 13 assists.
I like what everyone's saying, Allie, like the guys, whether it's Rob Pelinka, whether it's Darvin, like, no, we like the team we have.
Yeah.
We need to play better. We need to be whole. We need to figure something out. So when you see games like last night, it can get a little frustrating because you can say that's the team that when Rob's putting this together in the summer that he sees. And he's right. So you're like, okay, God, that team's not a playing team, but that's where we're going to be. Okay, let's see if we can get to 7th. And then who knows, maybe you can get to 6th, right? Because if you can get to 7, that means you're probably right on 6's heels too, like last year. But it's going to take a run. And you look at the teams ahead, and it's like, okay, sure, pass the Rockets, Jazz, you hope. But, like, you know, are you going to pass, you know, who is it? The Mavs are up there. The Pelicans are up there. Phoenix. So it just feels like it's tough to not let your mind go there. Like the disappointment, and that's where we are most likely, right? Because you think you're better than that. At least I do.
I'm not sure that this team saw the potential and what they're capable of, though, at this point of the season last year. That's the one thing that I'm...
Because it doesn't feel like, when you looked at the records...
It doesn't feel like last year.
Was that in the pregame?
Shocked, yeah.
It's weird, right? James and I, like, when we went to commercial, we're like, I just can't...
Yeah, it's weird.
I can't wrap my head around that, because it's not the same feeling.
Yeah, but at no point last year did I have or see a sense of a blueprint or something that they could lean on.
Yeah, the chemistry was off.
Yeah.
You know, Russ, you know, it's not his fault, but he didn't fit.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Lakeshow fans, remember you can be a part of the show each week. Feel free to send us your questions and comments. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, it's around a bucket of brick. Welcome back to the Lakeshow podcast presented by Jack in the Box. If you are enjoying this show, you can check out more original podcasts from our Spectrum News journalists on the Spectrum News app. Just head to the podcast section to listen to the latest episodes. You can download the Spectrum News app on the App Store or Google Play.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Are you talking to Rob or Allie?
So they can't see this, but there's a handsome
they
face
can see
over
that.
Can they see that on?
This is now...
That's Will Smith Rob. That's handsome Rob.
Yeah, Rob, looking good there.
Take a picture of that. Is that annoying?
You should take a picture of that and send it to Rob.
Yeah. Rob's going to love this.
He'll think it's hilarious.
He's going to think it's great.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something, but I can't.
It's really amazing.
All right, time for a round of bucket or brick presented by Jack in the Box.
Jack in the Box.
Jared Vanderbilt. 3 steals against the Thunder. Bucket or brick, Vando must see more minutes moving forward. Just bucket it and we're moving on because we just talked about him for 25 minutes.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
We agree. Yes, okay. Lakers gave up 127 to the Suns, 132 to the Jazz, but locked down the Thunder for 105, the number 2 team in the West. Bucket or brick, the offense, 22nd in the NBA, needs more work than the defense, which is 14th in the NBA.
That's a good question. I'm going to bucket this, and I'll tell you why. We've seen them be great defensively, more than we've seen their offense look good, in my opinion. And I think when their offense is clicking, guess what's better? Their defense. Your defense. But if you're hitting 3 of 29 from 3, or you're struggling with any rhythm or flow, or you're playing iso ball, Brez, or then your defense is going to have some breakdowns.
Yeah. Defense did not have a good week until last night. Great job against OKC. But yeah, I agree with you, Geet. The defense has, when they want to, they can show up and cause a lot of problems. The in-season tournament quarters held New Orleans to 89 points. Yeah. Think about that. In today's NBA, that's unbelievable.
When they're dialed in on that end.
Yeah. And
they tell they're an elite defense.
Yeah.
They can be.
And they bothered Halliburton in the finals. I'm not worried about the defense, really not.
Rui Hachimura was 17 and 12 in his first 2 games back. Bucket or brick, the mask was hindering Rui's game.
Oh. I'm going to make Brez go first on this. I was thinking you were going to say something else.
You know, I'm actually going to bucket this because I have some experience covering a very good player in a mask, and it was Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant.
And I remember all those years ago.
Is that the All-Star game, Brez, where Wade broke his nose?
I think it was. Yeah. And he had to continue with the mask into the regular season. He took it off in the first quarter of a game, and he chucked it across the court in the general direction of the Laker bench.
That.
He was so irritated and annoyed by this mask. So yeah, I mean, if it bothers Kobe, who we would think can get through anything, right? I'm sure it bothered Rui. And Rui, by the way, had a couple different incarnations of the mask. He tried a couple different ones out at shoot-arounds and practices, and yeah, I can see that.
The mask reminds me of the Phantom of the Opera is here. I'm going to go with a bucket. Missed the shot. I'm with Brez on that one. It helps to not have that on your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allie has Robert Ory on her face for this one.
But that's not
Rick.
what we're going to
There
say.
he is.
Having said that, last one, Real Talk with Allie.
Richard Johnson thought that was funny.
That was a layup for me. Real Talk with Allie. Bucket or brick? See the movie Saltburn.
Oh, Brick, I haven't yet. But you told me it's weird.
Yeah, Allie, you
Oh, should
Should you?
you? Allie, should you see it? Because it freaked you out, and Jordan and a couple other people said just finish it.
I'm going to say yes, that you guys should watch it because I want you to go through the same misery, discomfort, disturbance,
Do you?
asinine,
asinine.
chaotic,
Is it like alternate universe
emotional
stuff or
roller
what?
coaster that I went on.
Okay. Did you watch? So did you watch it in
I
parts?
watched the
though?
entire, just because I couldn't believe the first hour that I watched.
Okay.
And I questioned whether or not I wanted to watch the last hour.
Really?
And I ended up watching the last hour, and I still can't believe I watched the first or the second hour.
Yeah.
It is insane.
Really?
Yes.
Better on chocolate mushrooms, you think?
Ooh. That would have made a bunch of scenes.
I don't know why
very
that popped into my
interesting.
head. I swear to God. Not that I have them. I'm not. I don't know.
That
but
might
I'm
make
just
it
saying.
worse.
I just feel like it's a weird. Like, is it a psychedelic?
I think
movie?
you
Like, what
actually psychedelic.
like, what is it? Like,
Is it
Depending
horror?
on, I can't even give.
okay.
Are there? Is it
Guys.
like? Is there a lot of bloodshed? Are people screaming with
What's it called?
knives
Salt
and
Bay?
swords?
Like the Salt Bay?
Salt
guy?
Burn.
Bay.
Okay.
Yeah, is it going to be an Oscar nominee for Best Picture? I tried to see all the
It
Oscar
was
nominees.
a nominee for Golden
No.
Globe,
Jordan
correct?
says no.
No.
Jordan,
Oh,
it got a Golden Globe nominee, right?
Brian Bergen, our director,
Correct.
Okay.
sees. Did he see this movie?
Brian Bergen.
Nobody has not. Okay.
What do you mean you have?
Okay.
What does that mean?
means he's connected if he has a screener.
Geeter, I would like you
Do
to
you
sit
want me
there
to watch it?
to live stream it on your Instagram.
That's entertaining.
So and watch it and comment.
Yes, in comment.
It'd be like
Will
you
I
could
have
get
a
Twitch
job
account.
the following day? Because I'm down for this
You
stuff.
actually will
if-
probably make millions of dollars if you do
Oh.
that for yourself. Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah.
Millions.
Maybe you should do it on your OnlyFans account.
Do I need an OnlyFans account?
What would you do? What would your OnlyFans account be? We talked. I had a full-on conversation about
Who
this.
would subscribe to it?
Yeah, who would
demo?
subscribe to your OnlyFans? What fan base would you be speaking
Yes.
to?
Like 32 to 62-year-old guys.
So how
I'm
are
sorry.
you?
I'm just saying
what
those are the
are
guys
you
that watch our shows.
You made Nacho laugh. That's a big deal. What are you?
Nacho would subscribe.
What are we
Brett,
subscribing to?
Nacho's in.
Justin,
Your calves?
Sweet Lou. Yeah, talk about calves.
He used to be a calf model.
No, I talk about a lot of stuff. You know, life.
I don't think we talk on OnlyFans.
what-
I think we just
Oh.
show.
You just
Oh.
post.
So what would you be? What would we be in for?
A treat.
I can't. Coming up next, thanks to you for listening to the Lakeshow podcast, presented by
A special,
Jack in the Box.
special
If you like what you hear, leave us a rating and review on your
OnlyFans
favorite
account.
podcast app.
Very
We want to hear
special.
from you.
hashtag.
Send us your
Geeter3.
questions.
Do we
Hit
get
us up on
votes?
X.
Do we get a bonus?
Brett Rich Johnson, are you going to tune into Geeter's OnlyFans?
Yes, he is.
Mike _
Already a subscriber, bro. I already have one, Al. You just
Doing
didn't
your
know
Jack
about
in the
it.
Box. Until next week.